Today I got a cold and fun project for us to do. We're going to be photographing cracks and bubbles in ice. Back in December I did a project for a client involving freezing water and photographing the ice and the bubbles. So it was that much fun to do, I thought I would give you a video here for it. Now you can also freeze objects in the ice. Now I've done a separate video for that over on my Patreon page, so go down into the description, check out my Patreon community if you want to go and see the video that shows you how to create these images here that are on the screen now. But for this video here on YouTube, we are going to just concentrate on bubbles and cracks in ice. We are going to need a few things for this setup. First of all, we're going to need some sort of bowl. So we're going to fill some water into this bowl, maybe about ½ an inch, and then we'll shell freeze it overnight. Now, of course, you can use ice cubes if you wish. I like to use a pane of ice. The results are a lot better when you're photographing the cracks and the bubbles, particularly if you want to shoot through them and backlight it. So for preparation, we are going to need some things for this. The most important one is we're going to need a towel. What we want to do is to get a towel and place it onto your workstation, because when we get the ice out, it is going to melt very quickly. Now it's going to be even quicker for me because I have all of these video lights going. It is very hot in this room. So we want somewhere for that water to go other than our desk or our camera. So these are the pieces of ice that we are working with. I basically put a dish into the freezer, and then when I got it out I smashed it with a hammer. Another thing you can do as well if you want to add extra cracks is to place the ice under some cold water. A change in temperature will cause your ice to crack. Another thing you can do before you photograph it is to rub the ice. This helps to make it a lot more clearer for you to photograph those bubbles. But of course we shall get onto that later on. But as we place the ice into our platypod, it will begin to melt. As you can see, it's already dripping. So this towel is very important to catch that water. For any spillages that go past the towel, we have some kitchen toweling. Very nice absorbent material that doesn't break when wet. So as I've already hinted, we are going to be using a platypod, and this is the setup I'm using for that. Now we're not going to be using the setup to hold the ice, it's simply there to prop it up. So we have a platypod, we have a gooseneck arm and a super clamp on there, and I'm going to place that off to the side, and we will place our ice into that super clamp and it will just hold it. We have two Godox MF12 flashes that we can use for lighting, and while I'm doing this session I will be moving the light around, but I do favour backlighting. For our camera we're going to be using the Canon EOS R with the Canon 100mm EF macro lens that's been adapted to the Canon EOS R. So with all that said, again, precautions is probably the most important. The towel and the kitchen toweling. I don't want to get any of this equipment damaged by water. I am not responsible if you damage your items with water. That is completely down to you, but again, just take precautions. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm just going to place my super clamp so that it's ready to grab the ice, and we shall prep our camera. So for this session I am going to be using a 1/200th of a second on the shutter speed. That's the maximum sync speed for my particular setup. I'm going to be using f10 and an ISO of 320. ISO 320 on a Canon EOS R is very clean. It's almost as clean as an ISO 100. And the reason I'm using a 320 is to keep the power down on the flashes so I get more shots in. I shall turn my flashes on. And I'm setting the flashes to an ETTL so I don't have to muck around with flash power for the exposure. And we can just click away and capture some images. Let's try and keep things as simple as possible. Let's get our first piece of ice. I'm going to use this one. Again, I'm going to start rubbing it. Find something I like, place it into our super clamp. And again, the clamp is just there to hold it in place. And you've probably got about a minute or so before it falls down because of the melting ice. So I am going to place one flash directly behind it. I'm going to put another flash about 3 or 4 times the distance away to the side, give a little bit of a side illumination, and let's get photographing. So I'm going to get down low. I'm going to take some pictures. So again, I have many pieces of ice that we can use, so we can swap it out. Bring on this big piece here. Again, I'm going to give it a bit of a rub. Place that into my super clamp like that, just to stand it up, and then we shall wipe our hands again, because again, we don't want to get our equipment wet. Let's take some shots of this piece of ice now. Getting very wet and cold. So this piece of ice, I've literally, you can see it melting. I've just placed it under some hot water and it's made it melt a little bit, which means it's a lot thinner than the previous one. As you can see, I've got to adjust my clamp. Let's see what type of results that gives us. So again, it is thawing out quite quickly. What we can do now is we can put some gels onto our flashes. So let's do that now. So with these Godox flashes, you get gels. We have color temperature gels and we have color effect gels. We're going to be using the color effect gels. And at the moment, I do like my red and blue effect. We're going to do that now. So I'm going to bring the blue to the background. Bring the red around to the side. And let's see what that looks like. And again, it's all about experimentation. Some really good images coming out of this project. If you like this video, then give me a thumbs up. And please consider subscribing to the channel, it will really help me out. So right now, I haven't tried this shot. I'm going to put my blue one right up behind this, like it's ice that's been frozen in a glass. Got some nice cracks in it, if you can see there, some very nice cracks. I'm going to place that one up there, and then the red one I'm going to hold above like that. Now to do that, what we can do is use our platypod. What I'm going to do is take the super glamp off and then place my flash onto the gooseneck arm, and then I can hold that above the ice, and now let's see what image we get from this. And before I do anything else, I'm going to make sure to put the ice back into my tray because it's getting very wet in my office. Here are the results from this photo shoot. So there you go, a fun project that you can do at home if the weather is bad and you can't go outside. Cracks and bubbles in ice. If you want to show me your images, then hit me up on social media and tag me in your images. I'm sure I will have fun taking a look at your images. I want to thank my Patreon community for supporting me and to help me bring you this free content. But that's where I shall leave it. I want to thank you for getting to the end of this video, and I'll see you again on the next one.